Today we talk, like we occasionally do, about interactive fiction. And today's book that falls in the category is The Eye of Hastur by Scott King. Well, after the first season of True Detective became as famous as it has, sort of like almost like a modern classic, instant classic, there has been an interest again in The King in Yellow, and therefore Chambers, Lovecraft, and Hastur. And maybe this is why we have a book about Hastur. Also, maybe because we can't always have books about Cthulhu, we need to explore some of the other corners of Lovecraft's disturbed mind too. And I was just thinking, really, it is this obsession with Cthulhu and Lovecraft. It is so typical of board games, card games, some interactive fiction also. Not so much in video games. Yes, you have a video game here and there, but not so much. Now, The Eye of Hastur. So we are in Chambers / Lovecraft world, so to speak. Actually, we're in the contemporary world, but that world is threatened by the arrival of the ancient gods, the Elder Ones, and in this case, in particular, the protagonist, the reader, as well as the main character in the story, are trying to prevent the avatar of Hastur, who is the King in Yellow, from manifesting itself in this world and bringing utter chaos and destruction and madness. This is interactive fiction in a choose-your-own style, choose-your-own adventure style, as you also can see from this band here, which is reminiscent of the good old graphics, so choose-your-own adventure books. It is in that style in the sense that it is a fairly short book, and in the sense that the smallest unit is the page. You do not have very short paragraphs like you have, for example, in Fighting Fantasy. So the sections are approximately a page and a half, some more, some less, but it's sort of like that kind of like dimension, which was typical of choosing adventure books, and also no game mechanics. So it is a purely narrative interactive fiction, told in the second person present tense. You are blah blah blah, you do this, you do that. The first thing I want to tell is that the book is nothing I would have expected, completely different. And I have to admit at the beginning that bothered me a little bit. I was just annoyed because, I was expecting something and the book turned out to be very different. The Eye of Hastur, a very respectable illustration, higher quality than you have sometimes in this sort of like independent productions. The theme, the cover, all pointed to a grim, dark tale of madness, obsession, etc., etc., which is why we are attracted by Cthulhian themes to start with. I mean, no one reads about Cthulhu because they love fluffy pink bunnies and they are hoping to find the joy of hugging fluffy pink bunnies as they read Cthulhu. We like that dark element. So I expected this book to be in that category, and it isn't at all. It turns out, in fact, that it's a humorous book that I did not expect. So definitely the category is humor, with a very strong satirical, if affectionate tone, as the book describes some elements that are very common in contemporary board game culture. So this is definitely by a board gamer for board gamers. Let's just say that in your investigations, as you try to figure out where the King of Yellow is going to manifest itself and how to stop it, you have a chance of going to your friendly local game store to interact with people that are playing Magic the Gathering. Lovecraft never wrote about that kind of stuff, not just because it wasn't Magic the Gathering. My impression is that if he was around today, he still wouldn't write about Magic the Gathering. Unless, those moms worried about Satanism in games were right, and that really is a way of summoning some powerful entities. Maybe bothered about D&D bad was right all along, but no, it wasn't. what you have here, as I said, is affectionate satire. It's funny, it's entertaining, because if you are into this sort of thing, if you're into Cthulhian themes, Lovecraftian themes, and interactive fiction, a la Choose Your Own Adventure, chances are that you belong to this culture, or that your culture overlaps some of the tropes, some of the typical things that you can expect in game culture. So as you see those scenes, as your avatar in the story is interacting with the gamers, you smile because you recognize things that you have experienced elsewhere. Definitely there is that aspect there. But in general, also when the author is not making fun of the culture of the reader in a very friendly way, but that is the approach. Also in other aspects, definitely there is a humorous tone in general, a little bit of nonsensicality, which is meant to make you sometimes smile, sometimes cringe. And that is the level of the content of the paragraphs, which seems obvious, is the text. The text depicts scenes that are humorous, but also, like it happens sometimes in interactive fiction, at the structural level. That is, interactive fiction of this kind, you're probably familiar. If you're not, wow, thank you for sticking with me this long in this video. It's divided in numbered paragraphs or chapters, and at the end of many of these chapters, you're presented with a choice that leads. Well, if you do this, you go to a certain page. If you do that, you go to another page. And depending on the selection that you make, you go to a different textual section that tells you different development of the story. How can there be humor at the structural level, and what the heck does that mean? It means that there are sometimes ways in which these textual sections are interconnected, which are funny, which are counterintuitive, which make fun of the conventions according to which very often authors create nets of textual connections in this kind of books. It's tough for me. I can't explain to you what I mean without giving away what it is. But just say that as you read, and sometimes maybe as you're flipping through the pages, moving from one section to another, your eye falls on something that you were not supposed to see. You realize that the way the network connection has been designed has a couple of interesting tricks, has a couple of secrets, has a couple of things that is fun to see. Easter eggs, that's probably the word that I should describe. And I don't know that it can get any nerdier than this. An Easter egg inside a Choose Your Own Adventure type of book, and the Easter egg has to do with the exquisitely specific elements of interactive fiction. Easter egg about interactive fiction in interactive fiction about Hastur. Really, nerds rejoice. There's so much in this book here, packed for you to like, for us, because of course I proudly proclaim my membership in that group. In any case, the Eye of Hastur by Scott King. It's a good product. The paper is good. The cover looks nice. The book is tight. It's one of these books that Amazon makes for you when you order it, so you see the date in which it was made. This one was December 12, 2016. But again, when compared to the average of the sort of like self-production, dependent production, and I read quite a few of them, this is good quality, good writing, good thinking, good knowledge of the conventions and traditions of this type of fiction, and good way of putting them into practice. There are a couple of typos here and there, but that's to be expected again when you have an independent / self-production as opposed to a production that goes through like a lengthy editing process with a major publisher. On the other hand, when you have that perfect editing from the point of view of the spelling, then the big publisher poses other restrictions on you, so the text suffers in other directions, in other ways. And so it's a small price to pay to have this unpolished, unbound creativity that is expressed through like small production the small price to pay is a typo here and a typo there, and really not a big deal. No illustrations, that is something that may bother some readers. Not me, not particularly. Sure, if I think about the good old fighting fantasy books, the illustrations just brought so much atmosphere, just added so much to the experience. But I also saw some of some small independent productions distributed through the Amazon process. I saw some of those, and I wish they didn't have illustrations because the quality was very low. And so I'm like, you know what? Better not to have it at all, and I just create all the images in my mind than to have subpar illustrations. So no illustrations, overall good quality, spelling error here and there, nothing major. Good story, fun story, not what I expected, not what you probably expected when you saw the title of my review. A fun, humorous romp with a lot of interesting and fun ideas that will make you smile, and that I cannot tell you about too much because I don't want to give you spoilers, but entertaining, very entertaining. Didn't give me nightmares, didn't keep me awake at night as I expected / hoped, but it gave me a lot of opportunities to smile and to have a good laugh at the funny ideas that the author came up with, at myself, and the gaming culture that I belong to. It's a lot of different and fun ideas. And okay, minor spoiler, there is a chance that you may have to have a conversation with the King of Yellow, which is just hilarious. Just a lot of funny ideas in there. The King in Yellow, no, The Eye of Hastur by Scott King, available on Amazon. I believe the author also has a website, probably can also order it there. It's a fun book. It's a fun book. Recommend it to anybody who likes Cthulhian themes and or choose your own adventure type of books.